And she told me to do that, so see, I knew something would happen.
Mr. Hankey.
I am here.
Mrs. Sedler. I'm here. Mr. Ferguson. He's there.
He's there, I see him.
Mr. Shaw.
Here.
Mr. Hall.
Here.
Mr. Fisher.
Here.
Mr. Hicks.
Here.
Mr. Nolan.
Here.
Mr. O'Brien.
Here.
Mr. Half.
Here.
Mr. Campbell.
Here.
Mr. Skelly.
Here.
Mr. Hogan. Mr. Wilson.
Here.
Mrs. Clary. Here. Mr. Griffith.
Here.
Mr. Rozell.
Here.
Thank you. We have a quorum and we'll be doing business. First order of business, when's the public hearing time?
10:05.
Oh,
We got
we got
2 minutes to.
2 minutes to dance. Okay, then we'll switch right over to the condensed minutes. We'll consider the condensed minutes from May 20th, 2022 will be accepted as mailed unless there are any additions or corrections. Are there any additions or corrections? Seeing none. Communications.
For communications, the New York State Nurses Association correspondence requesting the Washington County Board of Supervisors assist the nurses to achieve a fair contract that includes competitive wages and maintain current benefits that will help to recruit and retain nurses. Communications from Mark Baker, president of Soft Lights Foundation, that switching to LED street lights would be a mistake, citing health concerns like triggering life-threatening epileptic seizures and other negative neurological reactions such as migraines and anxiety. That's all I have for communications.
Thank you. So I will therefore declare it to be 10:05. And we have a public hearing on Introductory Local Law C of 2022. If the clerk would read the notice, please.
Public hearing concerning Introductory Local Law C of 2022. Notice is hereby given that the Washington County Board of Supervisors will hold a public hearing on June 17th, 2022 at 10:05 a.m. in person in the Supervisors' Chambers, 383 Broadway, Fort Edward, New York, to consider the adoption of proposed Introductory Law C of 2022, authorizing the use of video conferencing for committee meetings and meetings of the Washington County Board of Supervisors. Copies of said Introductory Local Law C of 2022 are available on the county website. This local law shall authorize the use of video conferencing and provide for the process and procedures for such by committees, subcommittees of the Board of Supervisors, as well as by the Board of Supervisors itself. Further, notice is hereby given that comments for the public hearing can also be sent in advance of the meeting via email or mail by order of the Board of Supervisors, dated May 31st, 2022.
Thank you, Debbie. I will now open the public hearing on Introductory Law C of 2022. Is there anyone who wishes to speak on this topic? Is there any member of the public who wants to be heard on this public hearing on Local Law C? Does anyone wish to speak in this public hearing? Having called for comment 3 times and hears none, I will declare this public hearing closed. And go on to something fun. Mr. Hall had to be absent for a meeting. I'm glad he was absent for this one because I really like doing these sort of presentations and things. This one is for Older Americans Month. And our local recipients, I would like to call our Chairman of Health and Human Services, Supervisor Clary, up to read our proclamation that we did for Older Americans Month. And for the rest of the speakers, this microphone is set up over here, so use this one.
Since Bob doesn't like to read proclamations, that would be my chance to do it. And I'm very pleased to do this and so happy to have all of you here. Age My Way. Whereas Washington County includes a growing number of older Americans who contribute their strength and their wisdom and experience to our community. And whereas Washington County communities benefit when people of all ages, abilities, and backgrounds are welcomed, included, and supported. And whereas Washington County recognizes our need to create a community that provides the services and supports older Americans' need to thrive and live independently for as long as possible. And whereas Washington County can work to build an even better community for our older residents by planning programs that encourage independence, ensuring activities are responsive to individual needs and preferences, and increasing access to services that support the aging. Resolved, the Washington County Board of Supervisors do hereby proclaim May 2022 to be Older Americans Month. We urge every resident to recognize the contributions of our older citizens, help to create an inclusive society, and join efforts to support older Americans' choices about how they age in their communities. Signed by Samuel J. Hall, Chairman, Washington County Board of Supervisors, dated June 17, 2022. So we welcome you all, but I think we have to go from here for...
I'll handle it.
Thank you.
That is the first time in, I think, 6 or 7 years that Gina hasn't trapped me into reading that proclamation. Next, I'm going to ask Gina to come forward and introduce our first speaker on the topic.
Good morning, everyone. And I think it's been about 10 years. I think I've been asking you to read that proclamation for approximately 10 years. I think you're short-filling. Yeah, so thank you. First, I want to thank the Washington County Board of Supervisors, for Assemblywoman Carrie Warner, Assemblyman Matt Simpson for being here today, and for giving us the opportunity to gather and to celebrate and honor our two senior ambassadors. We have Debbie Behan from Hudson Falls and Dale Grinnell from Fort Ann. So it's with great pleasure to see all these beautiful faces here, and most certainly it's an honor to be here to pay tribute to these wonderful people. At this time, I'd like to turn the microphone over to Becky Prevey. She is the Association on Aging in New York Executive Director, and, you know, words can't express how much appreciation that we, frontline directors for Office for Aging, appreciate the work that she does. She is our voice. Not only is she our voice at the state level, but she's our voice at the national level. She has made many of us very proud to serve in our roles, and she has given us so many wonderful opportunities to provide services that we never have before. So it is with great pleasure that I introduce to you Becky Prevey, who's not only absolutely fantastic at her job, but she's also a dear friend of mine. So thank you very much.
Gina's trying to make me cry this morning, which I don't appreciate. So I am here, like Gina said, on behalf of the Association on Aging in New York. So I get the distinct honor to represent 59 offices for the aging from New York City to the North Country. I'm also here on behalf of New York State Office for the Aging, Greg Olson. He was pulled into a governor's meeting. He is very apologetic. He could not attend. He loves coming to these types of venues. So before I kind of read my remarks, I want to thank the county manager for all of the support that you give. I want to thank all of the Board of Supervisors for the work that you do. And I want to say thank you to Gina and her staff. In this role, I get the opportunity to meet a lot of directors, to see a lot of service structures, and you really have one of the best directors in New York State. She and her staff do an amazing job. I am proud of them. They are constantly coming up with innovations. Gina is a board member of mine at the state level. She does an amazing job representing the North Country. And I had the pleasure previously, prior to coming to the State Association, I was the Franklin County Office for the Aging Director, and Gina was a great colleague and a friend. And I know we have Essex County and Warren Hamilton here as well. They're also amazing directors. So you guys are very lucky. The North Country is really a gem as far as the services that are provided. I want to give a little bit of background, and I know speaking with some of you, you're big history buffs, so I want to kind of walk you through why this is so important. And Dale, I just want to let you know I met your fan club in the elevator on the way up here, so I feel like I know you. So again, I want to thank everyone for joining us today. May is Older Americans Month, and it's really our time to celebrate the amazing contributions of older New Yorkers to their families and communities, their place of work, the care that they provide to loved ones, and the service they give to organizations every day. When Older Americans Month was established in 1963, only 17 million living Americans had reached their 65th birthday. About a third of older Americans lived in poverty. There were few programs to meet their needs, and interest in older Americans and their concerns was growing. A meeting in 1963 between President John Kennedy and members of the National Council of Senior Citizens led to designating May as Senior Citizens Month, which precluded Older Americans Month. We use the vernacular Older Americans because it's a lot nicer term to use. Historically, Older Americans Month has been a time to acknowledge the contributions of past and current older persons to our country, in particular those who defended our country. Every president since Kennedy has issued a formal proclamation during or before the month of May asking that the entire nation pay tribute in some way to older persons in their communities. Older Americans Month is celebrated across the country through ceremonies, events, fairs, and other such activities. In New York, we try to go a step further, and we do something very unique to honor our exceptional individuals nominated by counties that demonstrate through their actions the spirit of civic engagement, volunteerism, and selflessness. As of today, we recognize you all for what you do. I do want to talk a little bit about the stigma of older Americans. You know, for far too long, we've looked at older people as a dredge on society. It's absolutely not true. They're the biggest givers to philanthropy, they're the biggest volunteers, and they're really the backbones of services and communities. The two awardees today, I think, exemplify that. And those of you that have the pleasure to know them on an ongoing basis, which I have not, reading what they have done for their communities is really very heartfelt and wonderful. Dale, I also grew up on a dairy farm, so I always like to see that. And I think it speaks to your work ethic and your dedication to food insecurity. And Debbie, the work that you do at the Senior Center is invaluable. I think one of the nicest thing about senior centers is the peer-to-peer support that is offered. And to have someone that looks like the community, serving the community, is really a gem. I do want to let you guys know that Washington County has over 4,000 volunteers who are over the age of 55 that contribute 2.1 million hours of service annually, which translates to $60 million for the local economy. And really let that sink in. If you had to pay for that at fair market value, you would be out $60 million. And this all comes from the older population that lives and serves in your community. That being said, I want to say regardless of where you came from or what your background is, there is always a volunteer opportunity awaiting in a life that can be changed for the better. Let's not dismiss the value to the volunteer either. It's been well documented that there are tremendous health benefits to volunteering, especially among older adults. Studies have shown that active volunteering lowers the likelihood for depression and isolation, gives purpose and meanings to one's life, and increases your life expectancy. I believe it's vitally important that our next generation grow up valuing service as an opportunity and that service becomes an intrinsic piece of who we are. You are all, in fact, making this happen by example through service to your communities. I am extremely proud to offer these remarks celebrating Older Americans Month, and all of us at the state level, thank you for your service. And on behalf of the association and on behalf of New York State Office for the Aging, I would like to provide Dale Grinnell and Debbie Behan with proclamations from New York State Office for the Aging to congratulate you for your service. And I just want to thank all of you in the county for all your support and leadership. It's definitely noted in Albany, and I'm proud to represent all of you. So thank you.
We have a couple of our elected representatives that we're also very honored to hear from today. If I could call Carrie Warner up to start, please.
Good morning, everyone. It's delightful to be back here with you on this particular occasion. I celebrated my 60th birthday this year, which I think makes me an older American. I'm not sure. And Gina, let me add my thanks to you for your leadership, your dedication, your perpetual smile, no matter what. You always have a smile on your face, and your let's just make it work attitude shines through in everything you do. You are truly a leader and an inspiration to all of us. Thank you so much. And to all of the older Americans that are here today to celebrate our two honorees, thank you so much for being their fan club and for showing your support and friendship to them. Part of, I think, the power, as Becky said, I think the power of our senior centers is that it's peers supporting other peers. And no matter what your age is, I think that's a really important part of being successful and feeling good about yourself, is that you have peers to support you. So thank you all for being here. I have come bearing a resolution that Assemblymember Simpson and I secured passage of in the Assembly to honor Deborah Behan for your amazing life's work and for your contributions to Washington County. Thank you so much. I won't read the whole thing to you because, you know, that would be a lot. But I just want to read the last whereas clause. So, whereas Deborah Behan, a very active and industrious woman, has inspired and enriched the lives of those she serves through her volunteerism, generously sharing the wisdom gained over years of experiencing life to its fullest. Now, therefore, be it resolved that this legislative body pause in its deliberations to honor Deborah Behan upon the occasion of her designation for special recognition by the New York State Office of the Aging. And be it further resolved that a copy of this resolution suitably engrossed be transmitted to Deborah Behan, adopted in the Assembly on May 9th. So you are now in the history books, and thank you very much.
The other good part about this, I just keep getting to introduce friend after friend, so I live in Matt Simpson.
Good morning, everyone. It's such a wonderful day here to be in Washington County, and especially to be here to recognize our older community members. And I just have one question. I'm 54, going to be 55 in August. Does that make me, am I hitting that yet? Okay, but I'm fast approaching, prior to being in the Assembly, I was a town supervisor for the town of Oregon. And if any of you are familiar with that town, there's a lot of older community members there, a lot of second homeowners live there. And as a town supervisor, I really relied on our older community members. They were the volunteers that came into our library. We have a really small town, not a big budget. They were the ones there working with the librarian to ensure that books were being sorted, and they were always there. And then when it came to the reading programs for the children's activities during the summers, they were the ones who organized it. They were the ones who would set up a barbecue and bring families into the community center. They were such a vital resource and asset to our community. I don't know what I would have done as a town supervisor without having them there as a resource. And now in my new position at the state, I really, of all the groups that I speak to and I meet with, I think that I really enjoy sitting there and listening to perspectives, history, learning, imparting wisdom to me from our older community members. They have so much to offer and so much that they've experienced over their lives that somebody my age, I can certainly benefit from that. So I just want to thank you all for all that you do for your communities, all that you do for your families, and it's just wonderful that we can be here to recognize you. So thank you for the opportunity to be here, and it's a wonderful, honorable time for me. Thank you.
I appreciate Matt and Carrie being here. I thought maybe Matt was here to celebrate the fact that through redistricting, the heart of the county is now in his district. And he's very proud of that. I am very proud.
I was going to suggest that's why he was wearing a black suit, but I
have a technical question about what is an older American, because I'm 62. I'm right in that very confusing age, because if I go to Hannaford to buy beer, I have to show my ID. But if I go to Johnson's Cabin Grill in Hartford, they offer me a senior discount. So what is the age of an older American? I heard 65.
Federally, it's 60 under the Older Americans Act.
It's 60? 60. Thank you. Also, my the world, and for many years, I noticed that volunteer is a very American thing. You don't see volunteers all over the world. They think if I have extra time, I do an extra job to get paid. They don't volunteer like Americans do. And in countries where they are starting to volunteer, they are copying Americans. If you go around the world sometimes, you go on a cruise or somewhere, a different country, check it out. Volunteers are really all American. So I find that very interesting. But I applaud the older Americans. I don't know if I'm in it. 60, I guess I am. But thank you very much.
Okay, now comes the more fun part. If I could have Dale and Debbie come forward and my presenters over here come forward. I'm sorry you have to be in the same picture with me, but that's... Come on, just slide it out.
I know everybody.
What's your pleasure?
Really?
You got room enough now or not? No? Keep going.
Okay, I'll follow you.
You've never taken directions well.
You're right there.
That's why she was so good at her job. Okay, Sarah.
Sure. So the one thing that I didn't mention is that Senator Van Steck wasn't able to join us today, but he did submit two resolutions, one on behalf of Debbie and one on behalf of Dale. So I will be presenting those two with you as well. So that's another sign that you're in the history books at the senator level. So we have here two signed proclamations identifying May as being Older Americans Month with the theme of Age My Way. So this is yours. Congratulations. And I brought my phone up here originally because I wanted to do like a selfie, like behind me to show everybody. If you don't mind, there we go. Because it's so great to have a group of people come together after 2 years. So I wanted to commemorate that, and we'll certainly show it to Chairman Hall, who unfortunately couldn't join us today, to let him know that he had a huge fan crowd here beforehand. So thank you for that.
And this is on behalf of New York State Office for the Aging and the Association on Aging in New York, and I just want to thank both of you. It's amazing to read what you've done for your local community, and you do it without ever looking for a thank you. And this is something we like to do, to be able to say that, and you now can have a wall of fame.
Oh, thank you.
Congratulations.
Have any more gifts and baubles?
So happy you got the man.
I got
With
that.
my congratulations and thank you. Thank you so much.
Okay, now finally, I have something for you. I have a Washington County pen, but you probably don't have one of.
There you go.
Don't
tell him that.
Congratulations, you guys, but really appreciate it. Everybody stand up, look pretty. Notice that you're standing with the oldest supervisor.
I know.
Keep smiling, smile away, smile away.
Everybody got it?
No, it's open.
Okay, we got all the gripping and grinning done that we're gonna do. All right, well, that was fun. Now let's go to something not quite so much fun and have, Tim Hardy talk about our COVID-19 update. Is Tim around?
Yes, sir. Can you hear me now?
Good. I can hear you.
I enjoyed having you look around for me, though. It will be relatively brief. I have relatively good news this morning. Our total case number is down to 27 as of this morning, 27 active cases, 6 hospitalizations, which has brought our 7-day positivity average to 5.8%. And more good news, we are in the low category as far as the CDC's community categories as of this morning. There are just a handful of counties left in New York State that haven't made it back to low. So we're happy to be back there. Our public health staff is finishing up an employee booster clinic right now down the hall here. So that is another good effort. They're continuing that, and the public clinics are continuing every Wednesday at Public Health. All you need to do is call, make an appointment. They will get you in for your booster, your initial, or your second booster if you need that. And PCR testing continues Monday through Friday at Public Health by appointment. All you have to do is call, and they will get you the information to get you in to get PCR tested. We do still have some at-home test kits left. The orange ones that we have been extended 3 months. They have the printed expiration date of July of 2022 on there. So we have a 3-month extension for those. And just encourage anybody who's symptomatic, anything like that, if you're taking those tests and it's repetitively hit negative, consider getting a PCR test. That still is an option that Public Health is offering regularly. The last bit of information is the state mass vac site in Queensbury has closed as of this week, which has been a great support for all of us and ease the load on Public Health. But just know Public Health is continuing to do vaccinations and is here for those in our community that need it. So we are happy to be moving into the summer months with cases coming down. If you have any questions, I will gladly answer them. Otherwise, thank you for your time.
Any questions for Tim? Yes, you're out, but thanks.
Sam has one.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I'm sorry.
That's okay. I just heard interesting trivia here. Last night I'm watching Channel 6, and I thought they might find this interesting, but they were talking about the site up in Warren County closing, and the whole time they had a picture of the tents that used to be up on Gurney Lane as they explained the fact that it was closed. And I thought it was kind of erroneous and ironic because they never opened to begin with up there. So just a little trivia from last night.
Thank you, Chairman. Anybody else? Okay. Thanks, Tim. Committee reports, audit report.
Mr. Chairman, presenting the audit report and recommend the board direct the treasurer to pay the bills.
Moved by Supervisor O'Brien. Is there a second? No second. Mr. Griffith. Mr. Nolan. And Mr. Rozell. Discussion. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Carried. There are 2 proclamations also in your packet. One is in recognition of Kathy Jo McIntyre for dedicated service to Warren County.
Warren County?
I was looking at Matt when he left. That's all right. She probably helped Warren County out too, but dedicated service to Washington County. I'll tell jokes later if you want.
Now we go to hear some. What county you're in.
And recognition of the 2022 valedictorians and salutatorians of Washington County Schools. Supervisor privilege of the floor. Anybody wish privilege? Seeing none. We'll move on to the introduction of resolutions. I need a motion to set aside the rules for resolution number 161 and have the clerk reading resolved only starting with 160. Moved by Mr. Campbell, second by Mr. O'Brien. Discussion. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Carried.
Resolution number 160 by Supervisors Campbell, O'Brien, Hassick, Studler, Skelly, Hogan, Clary, Roselle, Wilson, Griffith, titled to authorize agreement with Town of Fort Anne for construction of shared highway maintenance facility. Resolved that the Vice Chairman of the Board of Supervisors is hereby authorized to execute an intermunicipal agreement with the Town of Fort Anne for engineering, construction, and maintenance of a joint highway maintenance facility in a form approved by the County Attorney. Resolution number 161 by Supervisor Campbell, titled to award bid 2022-23 replacement lighting Resolved that the bid 2022-23 replacement lighting be awarded to Brownell Electrical in the amount so specified.
Thank you. We do not need a recess, I don't believe. Let's, move on to consideration of resolutions.
Resolution number 138 by Supervisors Campbell, O'Brien, Half, Hicks, Feathers, Deli, Hogan, Clary, Rozell, Wilson, titled to adopt introductory local law C of 2022.
Moving resolution number 138.
Moved by Supervisor Campbell, second. Supervisor Spedler. Wilson, Nolan, Rozell, and Ferguson. Discussion. Mr. Haff.
I'm sure I'm not alone, but I'm still rather confused about all of this, and I think we really won't learn until we do it and experience it. But I have a question about point number 5 and point number 6. 5 talks about members participating remotely. My question is number 6. Should number 6 be like 5B? Does number 6 talks about when video conferencing is used to conduct a meeting, public notice for the meeting shall inform the public where it will be used. But is that referring to the remote use of it, or everyone here and remotely? I almost think it talks about if you're doing it remotely, Debbie would have to post the location remote. But it's its own bullet point. So is it part of 5? Is it not part of 5?
So here's the short answer. There's two kinds of remote participation. There's remote participation where you are at a public location, which is in essence, while you're not here, you're at a public location that other people can go to. And then there's remote participation where you're not at a public location, which is what requires extraordinary circumstances. So the public needs to know who's in person and who's not, number one. And then number two, if you're remote from a public location, where that public location is.
But that also pertains to this location, right?
Yeah, well,
Public location.
the meeting would be, because remember, you have a quorum at a public location, so the meeting is going to be noticed for here every time. So you can always come here. What they're going to need to know for the additional notice is if there are other public locations that they could go to. So, Mr. Wilson, for example, goes to the Putnam Town Hall. You can go watch the meeting at the Putnam Town Hall. Mr. Skelly something happened and he can't make it, but he's on his iPhone in the parking lot of someplace, where that's a completely different situation. Nobody's going to go join him in his car. But he's got the extraordinary circumstances so he can still participate. So that's why the notice has to be provided so that Debbie can then say, look, these are the places you can go see the meeting. But the main meeting notice is, as it always is going to be for here.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Like I say, I think we're all going to be guilty of violating it at some point. We're only going to learn through experience because does everyone understand this very well?
Perfectly.
Mr.
Shaw.
Yeah, I'd just like Roger to help me understand this too. Extraordinary circumstance, I understand that's a gray area, but do you have to notify the clerk of the board that I have extraordinary circumstances, so I'm going to do it in my car with the cell phone?
Not under your law. We took that part out. So you still have to develop a policy that's going to discuss those issues.
Oh, so this isn't done once you adopt this, and there has to be.
No, this requires you to adopt a policy, and that's going to be how this law functions in this location.
Okay, so if that's the case, when does it start?
Well, it actually was supposed to start, but the governor just extended her mandate, which is allowing us to continue on with the meetings as we've had. So at some point, I think for another month, is that correct, Debbie?
Yes, July 14th.
Right. So we really should get our policy done because I don't know how many more extensions we're going to have.
So we got to get into the weeds, basically, to understand this further. So there you go.
Well, this says what you can do. So now the question is going to be in your policy, how are you going to make that work?
Here. I thought this was the weeds.
Oh, no, there are more weeds. This is the lake.
That's the trees.
I'm okay with the level of fidelity on here. Figure it out.
Maybe in my capacity as acting chair today, I should appoint a work group, put Dana in charge of it.
First motion be to absolve the work group.
Is there further comment? Further discussion? Further discussion? Seeing no further discussion, this is a roll call vote.
Mr. Hanky?
Yes.
Ms. Fedler? Yes. Mr. Ferguson?
Yes.
Mr. Shaw?
No.
Mr. Hall?
Yes.
Mr. Fisher?
Yes.
Mr. Hicks?
Would it be appropriate to say, see? Yes.
Mr. Nolan?
Yes.
Mr. O'Brien?
Yes.
Mr. Haff?
Yes.
Mr. Campbell?
Yes.
Mr. Skelly?
Yes.
Mr. Wilson?
Yes.
Mrs. Clary? Yes. Mr. Griffith?
Yes.
Mr. Rozell?
Yes.
The resolution is adopted, 3,612 yes, 190 no, 888 absent. Resolution number 139 by Supervisors Wilson, Hogan, Haff, Hicks, O'Brien, titled to make appointment to the Washington County EMS Advisory Board.
Mr. Chairman, moving resolution 139.
Motion Supervisor Wilson, second by Supervisor Spedler, Campbell, Nolan, Ferguson. Discussion. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
Resolution number 140 by Supervisors Campbell, O'Brien, Hicks, Fedler, Clary, Griffith, title set time and place for a public hearing concerning the 2022-2023 Adirondack Community College budget.
Moving resolution number 140.
Moved by Supervisor Campbell, second. Supervisor Spedler, Clary, Griffith, Nolan. Discussion. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Nay.
One nay. Supervisor Haff, carried.
Resolution number 141 by Supervisors Campbell, O'Brien, Haff, Hicks, Fedler, Skelly, Hogan, Clary, Rozell, Wilson, Griffith, title, amend county road fund budget for Pave Our Potholes program.
Moving resolution number 141.
Moved by Supervisor Campbell, second. Fedler, Skelly, Ferguson, and Rozell. Discussion. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Resolution number 142 by Supervisors Campbell, O'Brien, Haff, Hicks, Fedler, Skelly, Hogan, Clary, Rozell, Wilson, Griffith, title, amend mental health budget for 100% state aid.
Moving resolution number 142.
Moved by Supervisor Campbell, second. Fedler, Clary, Nolan, Ferguson, Rozell. Discussion. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
Resolution number 143 by Supervisors Campbell, O'Brien, Hicks, Fedler, Skelly, Hogan, Clary, Rozell, Wilson, Griffith, title, amend DSS OFA budget for COVID-19 awareness funds.
Moving resolution number 143.
Moved by Supervisor Campbell, second. Fedler, Clary, Ferguson. Discussion. Haff.
I'm gonna vote no on this. I don't know of anybody that's not aware of vaccines, COVID-19 vaccines. The other day I was, listening to the radio and I heard 3 radio commercials for this exact thing by Washington County. And it was within the span of like 10 minutes, I heard it 3 times. Are they just getting money and gonna spend it, just to spend it? Do we really need to spend money on vaccine awareness when I think everybody is aware of it? And the radio ad I heard was pointing to really young people who talk about, oh, get your COVID vaccine or your booster, and then you can go back to play on your phone all the time. It was like an odd radio spot. But I think we're just spending money for the sake of spending money.
Further discussion.
Yep.
Mr. Hall.
Yeah, I think part of the theory is that they're going to be using different advertising for the younger kids that have just had their vaccination approved. that they were pending approval on has just been approved on.
Further discussion?
Bob, this is for,
Mr. Hicks.
I mean, going forward, so I assume that there'll be recommendations coming regarding additional boosters or annual boosters and that kind of stuff. I would assume they would use that to reach out to the senior citizens in November to say, you know, this is available to you now. Isn't that market flooded with information? Do you really need to be told a 200th time? I have read when someone had passed away, they were vaccinated but not boosted. So some of the senior citizens are not following. They did the first couple of vaccinations and then sort of stopped. I think to promote them to say, you got to keep getting vaccinated or else. I think it's a worthwhile endeavor.
Further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Nay.
One nay, Mr. Haff, carried.
Resolution number 144 by Supervisors Campbell, O'Brien, Half, Hicks, Feather, Skelly, Hogan, Clary, Roselle, Wilson, Griffith, title amend Department of Social Services budget for Pandemic Emergency Assistance Program funds.
Moving resolution 144.
Moved by Supervisor Campbell, second. Fedler, Larry, Nolan. Discussion. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Carried.
Resolution number 145 by Supervisors Campbell, O'Brien, Half, Hicks, Feather, Skelly, Hogan, Clary, Roselle, Wilson, Griffith, title amend Community Development Fund for TANF Summer Youth Employment Funding.
Moving resolution number 145.
Moved by Supervisor Campbell, second. Fedler, Larry, Nolan, Ferguson. Discussion. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
Resolution number 146 by Supervisors Campbell, O'Brien, Half, Hicks, Feather, Skelly, Hogan, Clary, Roselle, Wilson, Griffith, title amend Capital Project number 114, Sewer District number 2, Long-Term Control Plan Phase 1.
Moving resolution number 146.
Moved by Supervisor Campbell, second. Fedler, Fisher, O'Brien, Clary, Ferguson. Discussion. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
Resolution number 147 by Supervisors Campbell, O'Brien, Half, Hicks, Feather, Skelly, Hogan, Clary, Roselle, Wilson, Griffith, title amend Sewer District number 2 for repairs Route 197 Bridge.
Moving resolution number 147.
Moved by Supervisor Campbell, second. Fedler, Fisher, O'Brien, Clary, Nolan, Ferguson. Discussion. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Carried.
Resolution number 148 by Supervisors Campbell, O'Brien, Half, Hicks, Feather, Skelly, Hogan, Clary, Roselle, Wilson, Griffith, title amend Sewer District number 2 for septage engineering.
Moving resolution number 148.
Moved by Supervisor Campbell, second. Fedler, Fisher, Clary, Nolan, Ferguson. Can't tell if John's just not. Discussion. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Resolution number 149 by Supervisors Campbell, O'Brien, Half, Hicks, Feather, Skelly, Hogan, Clary, Roselle, Wilson, Griffith, title amend Sewer District number 2 for debt service.
Moving resolution number 149.
Moved by Supervisor Campbell, second. Fedler, Fisher, Clary, Nolan, Ferguson. Discussion. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
Resolution number 150 by Supervisors Campbell, O'Brien, Half, Hicks, Feather, Skelly, Hogan, Clary, Roselle, Wilson, Griffith, title amend budget, capital project number 113, Homeland Security Grants for FY22 award.
Moving resolution number 150.
Moved by Supervisor Campbell, second. Fedler, Half, Clary, Nolan, Ferguson. Discussion. Mr. Half.
The subcommittee, Public Safety Subcommittee, I had mentioned that I would like to see the sheriff come to this meeting and explain what this money can be used for. I spoke to the sheriff, and he thinks it might be more appropriate if he come to the next Public Safety Committee and discuss it there. That way maybe there'll be a little bit more confidentiality about what he informs us. So, I just want to make that comment, if Mr. Wilson could include him in the public safety agenda.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
Resolution number 151 by Supervisors Campbell, O'Brien, Half, Hicks, Feather, Skelly, Hogan, Clary, Rozell, Wilson, Griffith, title amend public safety budget for FY '22, emergency management performance grant.
Moving resolution number 151.
Moved by Supervisor Campbell, second. Fedler, Barry, Nolan, Ferguson, Rozell. Discussion. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
Resolution number 152 by Supervisors Campbell, O'Brien, Half, Hicks, Feather, Skelly, Hogan, Clary, Rozell, Wilson, Griffith, title amend budget, Youth Bureau for youth, sports, and education funding.
Moving resolution number 152.
Moved by Supervisor Campbell, second. Fedler, Barry, Nolan, O'Brien, Ferguson, Rozell. Discussion. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Resolution number 153 by Supervisors Campbell, O'Brien, Half, Hicks, Feather, Skelly, Hogan, Clary, Rozell, Wilson, Griffith, title amend capital project number 125, capital improvement plan for access control system.
Moving resolution number 153.
Moved by Supervisor Campbell, second. Fedler, Nolan, Ferguson. Discussion. Mr. Haff.
How does this tie into another resolution farther down, 157? So if you approve this one to spend the money before you approve the policy, shouldn't be the other way around?
This is door locks
Yeah, this was just striking a line.
and changing the money, so all the money can't go to Burgoyne, some of it has to come back to this line here. The things that we've done, so this locks doors, this isn't cameras or anything else.
Okay, thank you.
Further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
Resolution number 154 by Supervisors Campbell, O'Brien, Half, Hicks, Feather, Skelly, Hogan, Clary, Rozell, Wilson, Griffith, title to award bid 2022-21 for engineering and architectural services for shared DPW facility and amend budget capital project number 125, capital improvement plan.
Moving resolution number 154.
Moved by Supervisor Campbell, second. Fedler, Barry, Nolan. Discussion. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
Resolution number 155 by Supervisors Campbell, O'Brien, Half, Hicks, Feather, Skelly, Hogan, Clary, Rozell, Wilson, Griffith, title to authorize application for local government efficiency project grant for Washington County and 40-inch shared highway barn, and to authorize local match.
Moving resolution number 155.
Moved by Supervisor Campbell, second. Fedler, Nolan, Ferguson. Discussion. Mr. Haff.
Both this resolution and the previous one, it involves the Fort Ann barn. Chairman Hall is the supervisor of Fort Ann. So shouldn't the authorization be that the vice chairman sign on both of these? Because I think Sam might have a conflict to sign these.
Yeah, that was the process. I know we did on the first one was gonna be the vice chair signing it.
But both these resolutions say the chairman, but is that wording okay? And then we have the vice chairman, or
Right,
should it say
so
vice chairman?
if the chairman has a conflict, it automatically goes to the vice chairman.
Okay, and I will sign them as
You
soon as.
can say it if you want to, but
Well,
it happens by operation. Because the chairman's gonna recuse himself.
all right, so it doesn't really matter. Thank you.
Further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. And I will go sign them just as soon as the meeting's over.
We didn't authorize you.
Oh, you will in a minute.
Resolution number 156 by Supervisors Wilson, Hogan, Half, Hicks, O'Brien, title amend Washington County identification policy.
Mr. Chairman, moving resolution 156.
Moved by Supervisor Wilson, second. Fedler, O'Brien, Campbell, Nolan, Ferguson. Discussion. Shaw. Is that this, identification policies in front of us?
Yes.
And that's gone through committee? Missed that, I did not. Does that mean that all supervisors are gonna be required to wear some kind of a badge around their neck?
Supervisors are not employees, they're employers. So you may have one if you would like, but nobody's gonna stop you and say, where's your badge?
Okay, it said officer, so I didn't know if that threw us in, but we're
I'm
employers,
an
so we're
officer.
not. Thank
Most
you.
other people are employees, you're the employer.
Yeah. I'm sorry to be a pain here, technicality-wise, but I've been on the Public Safety Committee for 12 years. And until these resolutions, I have never, ever heard of the Facilities Safety Response Team. And I asked about this in Public Safety, and it was said, well, it was an ad hoc, put together. I would vote yes on these, but I would like in Public Safety to vet. When was this team created? Who was it created by? Am I the only one that never heard of this team?
If you have better.
But so my concern, and I want my fears to be set aside, and I want to be proven wrong, but I suspect that people created their own team, and by doing these policies, we have now kind of validated them. I hope I'm wrong. It's kind of a sneaky way to become validated, but I have never, ever heard of the Facility Safety Response Team or the FOE Access Team. Was this discussed in a public safety meeting to create this? Can the chairman create ad hoc committees that we never know or hear about in public safety?
So if you'll notice in those policies, they describe responsibilities of individual people, the county attorney, the county administrator, or the safety officer, or the public safety department. And so those are the people that collectively make the decisions based on whatever their respective responsibilities are.
And have to stand in the hall during fire drills.
Things like that, right. So, it doesn't matter what you call it, those people are if you want us to go to committee every time a camera doesn't work, or we need to move it because we need a better view, we'd be happy to do that, but it might be a little cumbersome.
But how was this committee created?
It comes together because those are the people who have the day-to-day responsibilities for making sure that things happen.
But you gave yourself a name.
Well, it was easier to give it a name, but that doesn't, I'm not looking for an extra line on my paycheck or anything, that's just.
But did this team create itself? Did you get together and say, we need to have this team, and you created this self without any subcommittee approving that?
No, it was the same 6 people that sit in the same room every day doing these kind of things going, well, it'd be easier to describe this thing and then put down what everybody's individual duties are, so that you can say, instead of calling one of these 6 people, we're going to call this organization is going to sit down and make decisions, and then try to more regularly schedule things. As we get more formalized with policies, we need to have more formalized meetings instead of doing it on an ad hoc basis where, well, the first time Melissa and I are in the room, maybe we should call Tim and see what he thinks. And then, well, let's drag Terry into this and see how she's doing too. Whereas now we can sit there and on my calendar it will say facility whatever team, and it's like those 4 people know that that's when their meeting is, and really that's all it is.
And so you answered basically yes.
Well, and I'm not completely sure, Brian could back me up here if my memory's wrong, but I think that was existent when we came on the board.
Yeah.
So it could well have been an appointment.
Way back when?
In 1932 or something, I just don't know.
Well, maybe Debbie can find some old thing out, because I'm wary of a team being created by the team, named by the team, and then we pass policies of that team, and none of us really even knew such a team existed or gave the authority to create a team. But I think this chairman has the authority to do ad hoc committees without approval of a subcommittee. Is that true?
Well, but an ad hoc committee of this body.
This is not an ad hoc committee, then. This is a team.
This is a bunch of employees.
It's just employees we've given an assignment. Brian's next.
I think more important now in this, that we have to take away from this, though, is that the problem is when something goes wrong, everybody's blaming everybody, and this is a solution ahead of that, that everybody knows what their role is and what they're responsible for, so that when there is any type of crisis situation, everybody's covered the boxes that they had checked in their part, so they know where they need to get shored up or where they need a new team member. I think this is the underlying thing here this is a very proactive way to make sure you don't have a catastrophe.
Oh, I think it's a good idea. My concern was the creation of it. I would like to have some evidence, maybe 1932, that subcommittee or the board actually said this is a good idea, do it.
Well, I would say by approving the policy, you are in essence approving of that team.
Yeah, that's my point, exactly. It's an end run to validate, because now we say, oh, I never heard of this team. Oh, there was a policy done in 2022.
Why would they want extra duties?
What do you want me to call? It has to be called, it doesn't have to be called anything. You can say 6 people should get together and do this if you want to.
Well, why would you, public safety committee, say 6 people want to do this, is a good idea, we all say thank you very much, and then we're done.
Well, what we did was we came to the public safety committee and we said these things need to be done. Why don't you delegate those to the 6 people through this policy?
Correct.
That's what I think we're doing.
Correct.
Then if you remember, I asked about shadow government creation, which is kind of creating yourself.
It's recognizing that there's a group of people that are inherently responsible for a function at this organization, which is access control and security.
But this policy does not establish the creation of that team.
It does.
It's different.
It does. This is formally, by stating that this is a policy, we've just defined who is on the team and who's responsible for it.
Because right now, one of those people can say, I'm not interested in doing that. I think I'll skip it. Now you're making it my responsibility by putting it in that policy.
Why don't we have a standalone policy to create that team, and all these things will be perfectly okay? I mean, this is where we have to read words and understand things, and not just assume, oh, it's okay, keep voting yes, 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 every time.
Okay, Mr. Hicks.
I see Dan's point, and I'm assuming probably when this facility was created, sometime subsequent to that, this team was created, I think by board resolution. It doesn't say Roger, it doesn't say Melissa, it says the people are the county attorney, the county administrator, blah, blah, blah. I would think that would be codified someplace that if it is, then Mr. Hatt would be satisfied.
I'll be truthful, I don't think it is, okay? What this is an attempt to do is to say, okay, these are the people that have these responsibilities now.
But who defines, he's got a point, who defines those people? Because I don't know who the 6 are. And he says, well, I should know who the 6 are. I see why you should be and Melissa should be, but
I'll have to go back and look at the policy, but my understanding is that because each person has a responsibility in those policies.
Okay.
So you know who they are. So, and collectively they constitute this group. So, it's what it is the idea behind it is, so now my predecessor can't say, well, I'm not interested in doing that, I want to do something else. It's like, no, that's one of your responsibilities, is delegated by this policy, is adopted by the board.
Hold on, Mr. Shaw was next. Did you have your hand up?
Well, I didn't, and I would just to try to eliminate everybody's concern here. Why can't the board just adopt a resolution saying what the committee is, or the board is, and post it on the wall somewhere? I mean, then it's official, right? And I don't think anybody's out of order, in the 6 that you have. I think they're the right 6, because they're department heads that are involved in all this all the time. Then, like Matt says, we all are gonna be aware.
Yeah, I just looked at it as kind of a duty statement, but that's.
I mean, whatever makes, other than that, I was gonna move the question.
Don't need to move the question, because I don't see any further discussion.
Yes, Dan.
Oh, I'm sorry. Wait a minute, then Sam, hold on.
No, I don't want to muddy the waters. I just wanted to point out that on a day-to-day basis, you have department heads get together all the time to discuss how they're going to deliver services and do things on a day-to-day basis, because that's incumbent on their job. They don't have a meeting of their committee, if you will, or supervisors to decide how they need to do their job on a day-to-day basis. That's something that goes with the job description. The department heads work with other department heads, and basically that's what you've got going on here, as they're coming up with a way to accomplish what falls within their job description to do.
the ideas behind policies is to avoid the somebody oughta dilemma.
All right, everybody, hold on. Stop talking. We've got a motion to move the question. Is there a second? There is a second. There can be no discussion on the motion to move the question. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Okay, we'll move the question. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Thank you.
Resolution number 157 by Supervisors Wilson, Hogan, Half, Hicks, O'Brien, title amend Washington County Access Control System Policy.
Mr. Chairman, moving resolution 157.
Moved by Supervisor Wilson. Second by Fedler. Campbell, Clary, Nolan, Ferguson. Discussion. Mr. Hatt.
I invite Mr. Wilson to add this on his public safety agenda so that we can take maybe action to properly codify this team.
Are you referencing the access control or the video?
I'm referencing the facility safety response team and the FOB access team. Just a simple out of public safety resolution recognizing this team.
We can discuss it.
This is against my nature to agree with Mr. Hatt, but in this policy it says the system would be administered by the FOB team and then it describes it. Boom, we're all set. In the other policy, it doesn't describe who those 6 people are. I think that's where he's headed. If we confirm who those 6 people are in the other policy, then they both are right and we move on and everything's fine. So next time I see in a resolution the facility safety response team, I don't have to keep saying, we never created such a thing. Authorized. And it'd be a moot point. In the FOB policy, it's right there. It says who they are. We're all set. I think that's his point. I'm sorry to go back and sort of undermine what Mr. Shaw is doing, but.
Okay. Further discussion. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
Resolution number 158 by Supervisors Wilson, Hogan, Half, Hicks, O'Brien, titled to approve the Washington County Video Recording System Policy.
Mr. Chairman, moving resolution 158.
Mr. Wilson moving another one of the controversial resolutions. Is there a second?
This one doesn't mention any team.
O'Brien, Clary, Nolan, Ferguson. Discussion. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Carried.
And they all.
Resolution number 159 by Supervisors Campbell, O'Brien, Half, Hicks, Feather, Skelly, Hogan, Clary, Roselle, Wilson, Griffith, title, set time and place for a public hearing on CDBG program grant funding application.
Moving resolution number 159.
Moved by Supervisor Campbell, second. Fedler, Clary, Ferguson, Roselle. Discussion. Any discussion? Oh, Mr. Hatt.
Thank you. In the spirit of Lynn Clower, I want to say anytime we see CDBG, be very careful. There's so many strings attached. We conducted studies on senior housing, spent a lot of money, which ended up not going anywhere at all. I read each word very carefully, where each comma is and everything else, and this doesn't do it, but I just want to make sure that Washington County government is not getting into the senior housing business. We're just going to basically make a catalog of what's available. Who owns what? Is that correct?
Yeah, that's my understanding of it, so that, we can, if they can offer, somebody needs housing, say, here's some alternatives. I believe that's where this goes.
Why are we very interested in the ownership of the housing?
So this is designed because Homefront's not here anymore, this is designed to get the information necessary to apply for grants to upgrade and improve the housing that we already have.
So it's to help other.
Well, so I agree with you that you need to be careful, because what happens is when we get all this information, the next decision point would be, well, I don't think there's anybody else who can do this, maybe the county should. I would agree with you at that point that we should be very cautious before we get into the senior housing business, any kind of housing business, never mind, I'm not saying anything about seniors, but any kind of housing business in general. is fraught with many, many regulations, as you said.
They have to be on a bus line, they have to be able to go to the pharmacy, the grocery store, you have to provide transportation. There's many tentacles.
Right. This is to deal with the ones we already have in terms of inventorying them, finding out what the problems are, and then finding a method to fix them, is the way it was described at that committee. Yep.
All right, thank you.
Further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
Resolution number 160 by Supervisors Campbell, O'Brien, Haffix, Feathers, Skelly, Hogan, Clary, Rosedale, Wilson, Griffith, title to authorize agreement with Town of Fort Anne for construction of shared highway maintenance facility.
Moving resolution number 160.
Moved by Supervisor Campbell, second, Fedler, Clary, Nolan, O'Brien, Ferguson. Discussion. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
Resolution number 161 by Supervisor Campbell, title to award bid 2022-23 replacement lighting.
Moving resolution number 161.
Moved by Supervisor Campbell, second. O'Brien, Ferguson, not Roselle. Discussion, and I will, under discussion, I'd say they brought this to me, this popped up, and I said, it looks like a long-term thing, maybe we ought to, get on it and not messed up. Brian, you want to discuss it a little further?
What it is with the supply chain and everything, these are available right now, and we bid that's lower than what we expected it to cost. And, we figure if we wait, because everybody's trying to do everything at the same time, those might not be available, and we'd rather get it done. I think we're saving, I think it was $60,000 would be, so we have a chance to move forward now and get those locked in before they're gone, so we can finish that at the deadline.
Further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Okay. Supervisor's comments. Mr. Campbell.
So, in Hebron, is two longtime matriarchs in Hebron. One passed away at 101, Emmy Healy. A neighbor, farm lady for as long as I've been around and long before. And she passed away this past month. And next door is another matriarch at Gettyville Farm, and we have some good news on that note. Her great-granddaughter was just named the Washington County Dairy Person. Put that all in perspective, also this Elise Harrington, her father and her uncle are fire chiefs in Hebron and Hartford. Her grandmother, originally Sally Getty, was also a dairy princess back in the 70s. And if you want to go back even further, what's very interesting is Carolyn Getty, who I referred to first as a great-grandmother. Her parents actually ran the Ford Farm in Argyle. They actually started what became Pleasant Valley Infirmary, and eventually would live out their days there. So it's a big story with Hebron ties, and just thought I'd share that with you.
Very interesting. Mr. Haff.
Back to the theme that the seniors had about volunteers. On June 13th, Jay Harrington, the fire chief of Hartford that you referred to, put this on his Facebook page. It's a photo of 9 Hartford High School students, aged 16 through 18, that just initiated the basic exterior firefighting operations course. So while many of our volunteer fire companies are faced with aging members and little recruits, Hartford Volunteer Fire Company has 9 high school students entering into their ranks. And I think that's a wonderful thing to do. So I applaud the Hartford Volunteer Fire Company and the efforts that they do to recruit. Most of these kids, it's a kind of a legacy thing. Their parents are in the company, and I think that's kind of how it it works at Hartford. The children get very interested, because as little kids, they always went to the firehouse with their parents and got involved, and now they're just stepping up to be the next generation.
Thank you. Larry?
Salem will have their, annual Art and Plow Fest, 4th of July parade on, July 4th, Monday, at 5 o'clock. We invite you all. And then to go further with Brian Campbell's, with Elise Harrington, I'll never forget last year, my granddaughter coming home from kindergarten and saying, Grandmom, do you know there was a princess in my kindergarten classroom? And she told me that black and white cows have a name, and they're called Holsteins. And I thought, you know, the impact that dairy princesses make to the kids in agriculture is, and Elise in particular, is so personable to the kids, and they all just adore her. One other thing, which is not a Salem thing, but it is a Salem thing, is Stephanie Randall is retiring from being the director at Hebron Camp. And I'm sure there is families all over Jackson, Salem, and Cambridge that were taught by Stephanie Randall. She taught for over 40 years, and what an incredible asset she's been to all of our communities, because you're going to end up learning how to swim and loving doing it, one way or the other. And she did not give up. And so, kudos to Stephanie and her drive and energy in the last 40 years to Hebron Camp and all the communities.
Brian was 19 before he learned, but it was...
It took extra time.
No.
I'd like to know with pride in Greenwich that the Greenwich High School girls softball team recently won the New York State Championship.
Yeah.
I'd also like to tell everyone that Greenwich is having its Football City days, and it starts with a parade tonight, and then tomorrow we have a lot of festivities on Main Street, including music and evening. I invite you all. Thank you.
Can I have a question? When Sarah was the supervisor, I was not allowed to go into Greenwich. We had a mutual understanding. She could not come to Hartford. I could not go to Greenwich. Can you rescind that? Because I'd like to go to this.
I rescind it.
Thank you.
Dana, I don't know if you've ever heard East Found Jesus, but they're playing Saturday night and they're phenomenal, so.
Yeah. Thank you.
Mr. Hicks?
I just want to say I'm happy to be with you here all today. I got called to jury duty on Monday, but fortunately last Friday, the two sides settled it out, and I didn't have to report. But I was looking forward to the extra $40 a day. But,
All we older Americans have to supplement our income. I see another hand somewhere. Okay, all I've got is not quite as dramatic a softball story as Jim's, but the Argyle girls also got to go to states, which is quite an honor. They did get beat down there, but not by very much. And for a school the size of Argyle to get into states and wind up playing down Long Island is I found quite impressive. The best 4th of July parade is always in Argyle, and that's on the 4th of July at 10 o'clock in the morning, and you get to see me. I've been trying very hard to get, some horse-drawn equipment pulling manure spreader to make the town board right and that, but they won't do it. So we'll probably be in a town truck, but we'll throw you candy if I see you.
Get an Amish cart. Get the Amish to take you.
Yeah, they won't go in parades. I tried that. Speaking of that, September 17th is going to be our Thistle Day this year. They've decided to continue that. So there will be a parade, the theme of which is, I think, antique agriculture, something like that. So we're hoping for some horse-drawn stuff and some older farm equipment and things in the parade. And there will be Scottish bands, and there will be fireworks, and there will be a chicken barbecue, and there will be all kinds of stuff. It's still in the formative stages here, but it will be September 17th, and the parade and everything will be starting at about 4:30 in the afternoon, so it's an afternoon thing. You can plan on that. Anything else? For that, Mr. Shaw.
By order of the Vice Chairman of the Washington County Board of Supervisors, I declare this meeting adjourned and stand adjourned until its next regularly scheduled meeting, unless specially convened, in which case due and timely notice will be given.
Or if on video.